So look, if you're taking the 63, 65, and 66, this won't be heavily tested, but it will be tested. You have to know what happens when you're communicating in your rules, communicating and talking with the public. You have to make sure you're not lying, obviously. You have to make sure you're not making misleading statements or misrepresentations. That's a fucking given, okay? And there are some rules you have to follow. One big one is using acronyms. So you can use like investment advisor rep, you write it out, or investment advisor, write it out. But you can't use RIA or IAR because that's going to make it look like it's a certification, like a CPA, CFA, or a CAIA or something like that. And that gives a false impression of a certification, which the license isn't. The books go a little heavy into the details. I'm not going to do that. There is more or less high-level stuff that we're going to go over. So you want to know what's going on so you can understand it and say more about the little details. So advertising is something sent out to any more than one person. You have to make sure you don't transmit misleading information. And if you're going to give performance features, like performance-based advertising, you have to go back at least a year. You have to show everything you did, not just cherry pick. You can't do like a top 10 lesson. Here are my biggest hits. You can't do that. If you want to use third-party research, if you want to give your customer third-party research, that's fine. But you need to disclose to them that it's not yours. If you are using the research to make a recommendation, then you don't have to tell them shit. So again, if you give them third-party research, you have to let them know that it's not yours. If you use it, then you don't have to say anything. If you send out promotion material to at least 10 people or less, you have to keep the record of the people you sent it to. If it's more than 10, you just have to keep a record of what you sent. Where people really get tripped up is on the social media. Because you gotta understand that some of the stuff they do is considered testimonials. So let's say you post on Facebook or LinkedIn or something like that, and that's what they call a static post. Those kind of posts would be pre-approved according to FINRA or whatever. But now, what if there's a like function or a retweet or something like that? That could be considered a testimonial, and if you don't have the proper disclosures or the stuff in place, you can get screwed. So you have to make sure that most places turn off the like function anyway, but if there's a like or a retweet, that can be considered a testimonial, and you have to deal with that. Now, state IAs can't do testimonials. Federal advisors are allowed to do testimonials, but they have to follow certain rules. They have to have clear, prominent disclosures of the relationship to the advisor, any material conflicts of interest, and how you get paid and if they get paid. Are they getting like a trip? Are they getting cash? Monetary and non-monetary compensation has to be disclosed. And that's really hard to do. If somebody likes your post, how do you do that? But if somebody posts on a third party thing, it's not your problem, right? So you don't have to worry about it. If somebody posts on Twitter and it's not controlled by you, who cares? However, if somebody does post that and you like it, retweet it, link to it, refer to it, that's called adoption and that's fine, but it needs to meet the firm's compliance requirements. The other one is called entanglement. It's a little shady. That's where you actually pay the influencer or you help write it, but you don't disclose it. So that's called entanglement. Entanglement is going to be a problem. Now, what the hell? Where'd the sun go? Jesus Christ. Okay, back to it. Also, if an IA does performance-based advertising, they need to show the returns after the fees are deducted. So if they have 1% of fees, you got to drop it down. They have to show at least a time frame of at least 1, 5, and 10 years if they go that long. If they want to use hypothetical returns, they can, but they have to make disclosures about the assumptions, and it can't be misleading in any way, shape, or form. So broker-dealers are not prohibited from doing testimonials. They just have to follow guidelines. And if they pay the person, they have to disclose it. So they can do them. They have to monitor them. But they have to follow the guidelines set by both FINRA and NASA. And then finally, state admins can require all advertising for non-exempt securities to be filed with the states. Non-exempt securities. Now, I know this isn't exactly perfectly aligned with what I'm talking about, but it kind of reminded me of it. In the spring of 2024, M1 Finance got fined almost $900,000 for using 1,700 social media influencers to promote their company and products. As long as they follow the rules, I guess that isn't a problem. However, they didn't monitor what they were doing. They gave a special link that anyone who signed up would pay the influencer a flat fee, and they could say anything they wanted. Nobody was watching them. They didn't work for a firm. And they signed up over 40,000 accounts where they got a fee for signing up accounts. Boom, we know that's wrong. So you can't do that. You can't pay them for that. That's why they got in trouble. As a summary, just remember, if you're advertising, don't lie, don't mislead, and disclose the shit out of everything. If you like this stuff, check me out every Tuesday and Thursday night at 8:30 p.m. on the Tube of You live Q&A. It's a real shit show.